Hello again. This is the computer programming course in the industrial and management engineering. And in this video, I would like to continue to the next section, which is about the object-oriented programming. And in this chapter, we will learn these three things. The first is about the objects. What is objects? And we are going to learn about classes and fields, and we are going to learn also about the object behavior models, object behavior methods, and what is the object constructor. So you will need this stuff for your team project as well. So I hope that I can finish this one before your fire team project meeting with you. Okay. So the first, I would like to discuss about the objects, what is objects, and classes and fields. Let's go back to the previous problem. Okay. In the previous problem in the multidimensional array, yeah, if you still remember the multidimensional array section, okay, when we have the multidimensional array, we have one problem about point. Okay. So the point means we have, let's say, this is the first point, this is the second point, this is the third point, and so on. Okay, we have 6 points, and at that time we input. Okay, we input the number of points. So for example, we want to input 6. Okay, and then yeah, we input 5.2. This is the x and y. This is 3.5, this is x and y, this is another x and y, and so on until 6 point. And then let's say I want to put the center point. Maybe you can define the center point is 2.2, and then you are asked to write a program to calculate the distance between a point and the center. So you need to calculate 5.2 with the center, 3.5 with the center, 4.4 with the center, 1.2 with the center, 7.5 with the center, and 3.0 with the center. Now, what can you do with this problem? Basically, yeah, your intuition will go toward the multi-dimensional array. Okay, yeah, we need to make the array with 2 dimension. Or maybe you will have the idea like this one. Okay. Yeah, your idea about the 2 dimensional array is okay, also okay. So for example, we can make like the integer, and then we have 2 dimension. The first dimension, it will indicating the maybe this the number, okay, the number of point that you want to have, and the other is about the xy. Yeah, this is also good. But if you are using only one array, okay, so you are making the x and you have this array, and then you are also making another variable y, and then you are also making array, and then you are making the size according to the number of city count. For example, I want to create 6 city or 6 points, so this will be the number. Yeah, this is also possible. However, yeah, you are uh, doing very complex things by making two different variables. If you are making x and y for every time here, yeah, it will be very tedious job or time consuming. And if you are making with this 2 dimensional array, yeah, you need to think with this 2 dimensional array every time you have problems. Okay, we call this problem is the parallel arrays. Okay? Two or plus arrays with related data at the same index. So we can say this is poor on your style. So if the style is not that good, it will make your programming code difficult. to be developed more. It means if other people want to know more about your code, other people want to continue about the development, then it will create problems. So in this section, we will learn about the object oriented, because we are going to see this kind of problem from the point of object. So this problem would be easier to solve if there were such a thing as a point object. Okay, so we can say something like this: if we have x and y, so let's say we have 6 points. Yeah, the first point is the object number one. Okay, we can say this is object number one, object number two, object number three, object number 4, 5, and 6. Okay, and each object will have the variable x and y. Okay, so the idea is the point will store the x and y data, or maybe if we are dealing with the city, you know the what is the Korean name? Guang, oh, I forgot the Korean name. The longitude and the latitude. It is to indicate the position of a city. Okay, so it is Wido, Guangdo, something like that. I forgot the Korean name. Okay, and if we have the x and y, we can compare the distance between the points, and after that, each point will have their own property, and the overall program will be shorter and cleaner. Okay, so if we understand this way, and it will be easier for you to make this as an object. So what is the meaning by the object here? So let's see. I can have a point class. Okay, I have the point class, okay, and the point class will determine the x and y, and it will connect it to the client program. So the client program is a program that use objects. Okay, let me just try very slowly for this point. Okay, we have two class, point main and point. So you can see this one. The first is point main.java, and I call this is the client program. And the other class is point.java. In the point main.java, we are creating one main method. Okay, so if you still remember, whenever you have a program, you should have at least one class with main method. Okay, if you have the main method, then you can execute your program. Now we will learn a new class, and this class has no main method. So this class will only provide the data and methods. So there is no main method. Okay, and whenever we create something like, for example, new point 7,5, then it will create an object 1. If I call new point 1,2, so it will create another object, and it is connected. This point is the name of the point, the Java. Okay, so let's take a look on the classes on objects. So in this case, I would like to explain the concept first. Okay, classes. What is classes? In Java class, it is a program entity that represent either a program or a module, and it is a template for new type of objects. So in the point, okay, let me just draw again. You know that a point contains of x and y. So every time we create an object, there should be x and y. So this is the first object. If you create another object, the object number 2, there should be x and y. If you create another object, object number 3, there should be x and y, and so on. So that's the meaning by a template. So we need to make a template. So every time we have a new object, you can just define what is the x and what is the y. Okay. Now we can deal with the objects. What is object? So this is object. The first object is this city, for example. The second object is this city, and then the third object is this city. And then we can also add another object as much as we want. And we call this is the object-oriented programming, because we want to perform the behavior as interaction between objects. So we want to know how to add the object, how to modify the object, how to delete the object. Okay, so we need to make a class for this one. So our task is we will implement a point class. In the point class, okay, I will just explain in details. Okay, we will implement a point class as a way of learning about the class. So let's say that I have this kind of data. So the point 1, we have x equals to 5 and y equals to 2. In the point 2, we have x equals to 3 and y equals to 5. The point 3, we have 4 and 4. So the first, we need to define the type of object named point. Because this is the class diagram. So please take a look on this class diagram. Okay. So the point here is the class name. So we have point dot Java. And then each point will contain x, y data, and we call it fields, or sometimes they call it data members. Okay. So I have x integer and I have y as integer. And each point object will contain behavior, and we call it as methods. So this is the methods. We have the method set location, and the method is void. We have another method. So in the set location, we have two parameters, x and y. There is another method translate. We have two parameters, dx and dy, and the method type is void. And then we have another method which is distance, and there is one parameter which is point, and the method type is void. Okay. Now, when you see this one, there are three sections. Okay. The first is about the class name, and the second section is about the field or the data members, and the third section is about the methods. Okay, so we call this is class diagram. And you can make something like this one. If you have the points, you will make a new object which is P1, and the P1 is having the x equals to 5 and the y equals to -2. Okay. If I want to create something, let's say I do not declare any value. So it means it will be x equal to 0 and y equals to 0. So here we call the data is the x and y. So x and y, it is the data point or the coordinate for the each of the point. And then the method, okay, so those three are the methods. Set location x, y. We want to set the point x and y to the given value. We want to translate, so this is the another method. And then distance, we want to calculate the distance. So this is the way to read. Okay. If I have the point class, okay, I have the x and y for the field, and I have the behavior. So I can define, if I define the point object 1, then I will have this value. If I have the point object 2, for example, I have this value. If I have point number 3, then I have this value. The behavior will be depending when you call the methods. If you do not call the methods, then there will be no behavior. Okay. So the class blueprint describe how to create objects. So we call this is the class blueprint. And each object contains its own data and methods. So we have field or the data, and we have methods. So in this case, you need to design this point. Okay. Now let's see. I'm not sure if there is enough time for me to explain everything by this video, but let's check. In the point class version 1, so you can go to the section 08 about the Java code. Okay, so you can access the Java code there, and then you can copy and paste into your Eclipse. However, I would like to remind you, so whenever you put your code into your Eclipse, okay, so let me make a new package. I will make a new package here. The package name is section 08. Oh, sorry. Oh, okay, I already have the section 08 here. So when you paste the code, do not worry. You can see there are some errors here. Yeah, don't worry about these errors, because we will do one by one, and we will try to find a way to fix that one. Okay. And if you are checking on your PowerPoint, you will have the point class version 1. So in this case, the point contains of two variables, which is integer x and y. So let's assume we don't have anything. Okay. So this code is the point.java. So this code creates new type called point, and then each of the point has two data, which is x and y. What about the behavior? Yeah, maybe I will explain a little bit later. Okay, for now we just have only the data. So we want to access the data. You can see from the point main client example. Okay, so in the client example, so let's see. You can go to the Eclipse. So we have point. Now you will see that it is a Java class, and this Java class do not include any main method. Okay, can you see? So usually you will explain like static, void main, okay, and then string. You can have these arguments, okay. Yeah, usually you have this one, but now I don't need this one. Why? Because this is the Java class to create an object. Because Java is very familiar, very popular for the object oriented. So because this is the object, we call this is the object point. We can create object point from this class. Okay? And then if you open the point main.java, you will see here I need to create a point. So I call the point here is point.java actually. Okay, so it will go to point.java. I want to create an object p1, and this is the object from the Java class, and the Java class is the name point. Now I would like to put p1 dot y. So it means I want to insert a value 2 into the variable y. What about x? There is no information about x, then it will be just 0. Now I create a new object p2, and I use the same way. I use the Java class point, and now I'm using x variable, and I want to assign 4 into that variable. So if I run this one, okay, if I run this statement, then p1.x and p1.y will be 0, 2. Now, if I want to move p2 and I print, for example, in the p2, the variable x will be added by 2. And then in the p2, the variable y will be added by 1. So what is the x in the p2? Okay, originally is 4. So 4 plus 2, it becomes 6. And then y, because the original value is 0, then y plus plus, it becomes 1. Then you will get 6, 1. Okay. So if you run this, you will get 0, 2 and 6, 1. So this is the variable from this point, and x is also a variable from this point. Then because now just to simplify this one, it is open for public, so you can access the data. So you can access the data with just dot x, you can just access the data with dot y. So every time you want to update, you can just use the dot to represent this arithmetic calculation. So the formula here is to do the arithmetic operation, and we want to access the x of the particular object. Okay. So if I can write this one, maybe this one something like this. I have the p1, okay, and then I have x and y. And then I have p2, and then I have x and y. So the original p1, I have p1 y equals to 2. So p1 y equals to 2. So the x originally is 0. And then I want to assign x of p2. Okay. So we have p2x now assigned 4. So the original of y equals to 0. So that's why you will get 0.2 for p1. And then if I want to change the p2, so p2x, what is p2x? So now if it is 4. Okay. Then if I want to update this one, then after I update 4 plus 2, then it becomes 6. And then y plus plus, so this one now becomes 1. Every object will have the data. Every object, this is p1, the data of x is 0, the data of y is 2. Object p2, the data of x is 6, and the data of y is 1. Okay, so that's the meaning of this one. Okay, I guess I need to stop here, and I will continue with the next section. I guess I will be using the real-time class to explain the next section. Thank you very much for joining this class with the recorded video, and see you.